Hi, so I just wanted to make this quick video to show you how you can compile FlightGear on Debian from source code, and you can get either the latest stable version or the latest development version, whatever you want. So basically this turned out to be pretty easy actually, because they provided a script that installs all the dependencies for you, and basically it's it's very straightforward. So I wanted to make a video to show you how we can do it, because like I thought initially it would be something like very complicated, and I was kind of putting off doing it, but it turned out to be pretty easy. So just like as a small introduction, like why I just decided to get into this whole compiling from source code business in the first place. So if you just go to downloads on the FlightGear website, so I'll go to Linux, and you can find here they provide a binary app image, and I mentioned this in my previous videos that like I used this, I've been using this so far. So and that's all right. Basically, you get just one file in which has all of the dependencies packaged into it, and you can just use it straight away. You need to mark it executable, and you can run it. So the problem is though that this is a bit of an older version. I think they have like several stable versions, like long-term support, and then older long-term support, and then also stable, and then the development. So like they have sort of like 4 different versions. I think this is probably long-term support or something, but in any case, like right now on their website they have this version, and the stable version is actually a later version than this. And so the reason that I just decided to figure out how to compile it is because I installed this new aircraft. Let me show you. So I'll just run this app image for now. I already have it set up with the compiled version, but I'll just run it right here from the terminal like this. So I installed this aircraft. It's Cessna 182. I got it here in this repo on GitHub, and basically it's also available like in FlightGear. If you go to aircraft and then you can go to browse, and it's also here, but I think they have an older version there, so I just got it from GitHub to get the kind of the letest one. And they have this like basically they have 2 variants of this airplane here, 182. Let me see. I have 2 of them here because one of them I think comes from, like, yeah, this is the one that I installed, and this is the one that comes from the FlightGear, from this browse tab. So yeah, like I installed it from FlightGear, but it didn't have this 182T variant, which is a different cockpit. So this is the kind of the classic cockpit from 1996, but this version has a different cockpit with like with more modern instruments. So that's nice, but it also gives you this warning that this aircraft requires FlightGear version 2020 4.0 or higher. You can still run it, but like first you get this warning. You can click OK. Let me see, it just went full screen. Not sure what you're seeing right now. I'll try to exit. There we go. Okay, so basically you can see that these instruments, the displays are not working because the version is older. So this is kind of one reason why you might want to have a like either maybe even the development version if some developer is using more newer features that aren't in this table or something like that. So let me just close that. Basically, yeah, it's nice to be able to just like compile the latest one and have that. So let's see. So let's look at how you can do that. Basically, if you there's this page on FlightGear Wiki that is called Scripted Compilation on Linux, Debian / Ubuntu, and it's a pretty detailed page with a lot of information. So I just decided to make this video to just kind of show the basics, but you can read more about it here. Yeah. So basically, there is like a quick start here somewhere. Let me see. So for the impatient, they called it. So basically, the first thing that you want to do is well, find some place where you will be storing source code, and then like on my computer I have a directory called so in home directory I have a local and then src. So that's where I put all the different kind of source code that I download, and then you just run git clone, and so I just copied it from here, and you need to clone this repo called FGData, where they have different tools. So I created a subdirectory here called FlightGear, and then I cloned the meta right here. So let's see. So in that repo you have a bunch of things, but what we need here is this download and compile.sh script. So if I just run it with the --help option, you can get the help for this script, and it just kind of gives you information about what options you can have. So this is kind of also a good thing to look through. But basically the next thing, you need to decide where you're gonna store your the FlightGear itself that the script is gonna compile. So they suggest here this like FlightGear DNC manage, like DNC for what is this script called again? Download and compile. DNC managed. So this in this folder, this script works in such a way that it basically manages the entire package of FlightGear in this particular folder. So it's going to be the folder specific. You just need to decide on the location, and then you can run this script and update that FlightGear installation as well by running it again, because it downloads the source code using git, and it basically will, like, if there are updates, it will receive them, and it will compile the version that you request. So if you, for example, if you want development, all the recent commits will be there, and the script will get everything. So this is kind of a very good way to just get the latest FlightGear or the latest stable FlightGear, whatever you want, and make sure that it's the right version, and yeah, like this is basically the way I think it's the best way to do it that I've found so far. So you need to decide on a directory. So I chose for that I have an opt directory in my home folder, and in there I created a subdirectory called FlightGear, and then this is a directory I've already showed in the beginning of this video. So I had these app images here, and then I just created two subdirectories called next and stable. So next is what they call the development version, and stable is stable. So I just decided to install both because I'm probably gonna use stable for the most part, but then I want to have also the development one in case I want to just check out the new features and stuff like that. It might be buggy, but if there are bugs, I can just switch back to stable, and that's always there. So I just decided to install both. These app images, I'll just delete them pretty soon. Yeah, like there used to be this let me see. Yeah, this page where you could download nightly app images, but it went offline. So this is where I got this 4.0, but it's really buggy. Like I didn't really use it very much except to test one airplane, this Airbus A320. Like some features weren't working on the on the one that I had, the main one version that I ran at that moment. Like as just like a bonus, I'll leave links to these GitHub repos in the description for like very detailed and high quality models of several airplanes that I like. Maybe I'll even make some videos about those separately later, but we'll see about that. Let's just talk about the compiling here. So yeah, I just created these subdirectories next and stable, and basically you need to create an empty directory, and you run that script there with specific options. So we're almost at the point where I'll be showing you how it works. Yeah, like just some things that they mentioned here in the article is that like don't run the script. Like you can run. So like the script is where do I have it? Local source FlightGear FGData, download and compile. So you can like view the help from anywhere, but like don't run it from some random directory without the help, or like maybe dash version is okay as well, just to view the version of that script if you need that for some reason. But yeah, like just don't run from any random directory, because it manages whatever is installed in the current directory. It works in the current one, so you might create a mess accidentally by doing that. So it's best to just just to be careful about that. But yeah, basically create some directory somewhere, and that's where you're gonna be installing compiling FlightGear. So I already did it on my main system, but first I was testing it in this VM that I have here. So in the VM I basically had the same location, home opt FlightGear, and then I have next and stable. So I already installed next. This is how the folder looks once you install everything, but stable is empty, so I'll install stable here, and I'll also explain how you can install next or the development version, but I'll just demonstrate it with the stable one. That's also what they're showing here. So -S stands for stable. There's a couple of options here. You might want to have like stable long-term support LTS, or old LTS, like even older long-term support. This is essentially like let me just work in this VM here. So local source FlightGear meta, download and compile. Help. Yeah, so you can so these options control the version. If you want to install the development, you just don't set any of these three. But the stable is probably the most reasonable one because it's pretty recent, but it's also stable. Like LTS is going to be even more stable, but it's going to be older, and old LTS is going to be like uber stable, but it's going to be even older than that. So we're going to be installing the stable. So we'll be doing -S. Then they also show you here that suggest using this -J option. So what that does is basically if you have multiple cores on your processor available, it's a good idea to enable that. So like if I just echo this stuff to see what will run, you can see I have like 24 cores enabled on my VM, and if you just run this this nproc separately, just gives you the number of cores. So you just pass the number of cores to this option. So that's a worthwhile thing to do, like however many of them you have, just yeah, just do it, because it's just gonna compile faster. And let me see, so some other things to consider. So this compositor thing, I ran into some situations with like some of these aircraft that I already mentioned, where not having the compositor caused problems. Basically, some lighting in the cockpit wouldn't show up, for example, for this A320. So there's this wiki page here that talks about the compositor. Apparently it's a default feature in starting from somewhere. It says it from which version here, but yeah, here is now the default renderer framework since 2020 11/17. It will be included as part of version 2020.4 onwards. So 2020.4 is already the new stable, so it should be included. So I don't know, like it has this option here. Is it gonna like not enable compositor if you don't set it? I don't know, but I set it. I just enabled it anyways. I haven't tested what happens if you don't, but that's what I did for my system. So I enabled compositor, and also you might want to set this non-interactive if you don't want it to ask you questions throughout the installation, because it does it a couple of times. I'm not gonna set it just to show you what it asks, but yeah, like once you run it and are familiar with what is going on, you might want to set non-interactive. This is a useful thing to know about. So, but this is basically gonna be our command. This, so path to the script, and then -S for stable, -J with the number of processor cores, and then compositor just in case it is needed, like in case it's not enabled by default. So so there's that. One thing that I wanted to show you is what it, since it's like this script that they provide, it's gonna be installing packages on your system by using apt. So you might wonder, like, what is it gonna install on my system? So I'll show you exactly what it's gonna install. I have this script called pretty-apt-log, which shows logs of the app package manager in this very convenient way. I'll leave a link to my GitHub where you can install this tool in the description. But basically, here is what it installed. This exact command. This is what it ran. You see all the packages here. So I tested it in the VM. It didn't make any mess, and then I just installed it on my system, on my main system, and everything's fine. So it worked out for me. So there's that. There's like, you can see what it installs. So before I run the script, I just wanted to address one more thing, and it basically has to do with a very large download that the script does when you run it for the first time. So since I already ran it before, I installed Next here in this VM, and that download is already there. I don't need to do it again. But basically, for you, if you run for the first time, you will have to wait for it to download. But then maybe if you want to install a different version of FlightGear, like I'm doing right now, it's worth it's just easier. It'll be easier to just copy it to the current folder, so that you don't have to wait for it to download again. So this is a Git repository that it clones, and it's called FGData. There's some information about it here in the article, but what we need here is basically a location of that folder. So DNC managed is their sort of like root, suggested root name. We just have next unstable in my case, and we need this this location, install FlightGear FGData. So I'm in stable right now and it's empty, and I'm about to install stuff in there. But if we look at next, install FlightGear FGData, actually I'll just cd there for a second, and we can see that we are in a Git repo because it shows the branch here, because like I have it set up like this in my prompt, so it can show you the Git branch if you are in a Git repos folder. But we can also run lsa and we can see that there is a .git here. So it just runs git clone on that repo and it clones all of the contents, but it's very large, so we can avoid doing that multiple times. So I will just recreate this directory structure here in this table. So let's see, so on kdir p install FlightGear, and then I will copy that folder from next. So what's FlightGear? And no, wait, not FlightGear, but next install FlightGear FGData, and I'll copy it to this directory. Basically, like this variable underscore, it stores the last argument of the previous command, and so this way, this is a nice way to just like chain commands together. So we'll do that, and now we have so install FlightGear FGData, and we have the same thing here now. So I don't need to download it all over again. So it'll save some time. And for you, of course, it's good to know, because like in case you need to reinstall something, so just keep that directory, keep that repo, and it's much easier to just have it there rather than re-cloning it. So we have our command, and I think we're good to go. Let me just echo it again to see if everything looks good. Yeah, so let's run it. It will ask you for your password, because it needs to use apt to install stuff, so it will have to ask you for the password. So I'll enter that. I had to actually redo this part of the video because the VM froze, so maybe it happens again, I don't know. So let's see, like generally it should be pretty quick, especially since I avoided downloading that huge repo. So on my main machine, it took me half an hour to basically do everything from scratch without any copied downloads or anything, to compile and to download everything. So I guess I can show you what kind of specs my machine has, so that you have an idea. Here you go. While it's working on that, I'll just use this time to talk about some things that I saw in this article. So, a list of available components. So, if we look at, one sec. Yeah. So, let me just show the help for this script again. So you can specify what components you want to install. So as the non-option arguments to the script, it takes those words. So, and it explains here in the article what all those things are. I just did the defaults, which are these, but it also kind of has this other section here somewhere a bit later, I think. Yeah, where it shows what all of these. It's called additional programs, and you can see that you can read a bit more about what they are basically, and maybe you want to install some of that. So that's something that I just thought was worth mentioning. Hopefully it doesn't get stuck again. Is it still on? Damn it, it got stuck again. So I did have to restart the compilation because my VM froze again. I changed some settings. I reduced the number of cores to 8 from 24. So this is actually how I compiled it first. So I figured maybe because I increased the number of cores that it gets stuck for some reason. Yeah, not sure what the reason is, but we'll see. If it works, then it probably had something to do with that. Another option it might be because I enabled the compositor. I didn't compile with the compositor in the VM, but I don't know. It's probably not that. So you can see that it's cloning right now. So like with that large download, it would be the same thing. So like even these repos, it won't have to re-clone them again every time when you want to update FlightGear to a newer version. But these are pretty small. It doesn't really matter. But the one that I talked about, it's very large. Okay, here is that large repository. It says repository already exists. Hopefully it figures out that it doesn't need to like do anything here. I haven't tried this before, but it should be fine. Yeah, so it that worked. And so FlightGear, it's gonna be like compiling the last component here, FlightGear. It's not gonna take very long. This is actually really good that they maintain this script and provide it. Kind of not very obvious and easy to find, but once you know about it, it's just like you can always have the most recent version just compiled directly from sources, and both stable and development. So that's really good. Although maybe it's not that difficult to find it. I think they do mention it on the site, like on the flightgear.org website, somewhere in the downloads section. There's I remember it was mentioned somewhere in there. But they do like kind of first thing that they suggest for Linux is sort of like the app image, but it's kind of kind of weird that it's not the recent stable version. Maybe they will update it, I don't know. So once it compiles, I will show you also how to basically run this compiled program, because there's like small adjustment that I made on my system that you might find helpful as well, just like how to set up um, there's a script that launches it, but then you might, well, I'll show you basically. There's like something to just to know about. It's almost done. Alright, so here we go. It compiled, it took 12 minutes 49 seconds in this VM, and here's the specs for the VM, in case you're wondering. So yeah, I don't know, like, does it show you the relevant information here or not? But this is, it's fine, like, it's not gonna take you ages, basically. Yeah, so let's see now how to run it. Basically, to run it, in this folder where you compiled everything, there's this script called run _fgfs.sh. So this is how you run it. So if I just run this script .sh, and you need to also pass -- launcher if you want like the launcher GUI to pop up. Otherwise it will just like start at the default airport with the default aircraft right away, like so you can just run that, and oops, I made a typo. It's launcher. So yeah, now it's gonna do some stuff, and everything should work just fine. So yeah, here we go. Welcome to FlightGear, and here is the launcher. So not what I meant to do. Hold on a second. Yeah, so here's the launcher GUI that I talked about. So this is the stable version, 2024.1.1, like quite significantly later than what, like that app image. What was it? 2023.19. So in like they had a major update since then. So definitely a worthwhile thing to do to compile it from source. And this is stable, so if we go to next and run the same script there, it's 2024.2.0 at this point. So yeah, so we now have both the development and the stable, which is great. So let me see. So yeah, I'm pretty much done with this VM. So I think, well, let me not close it in case I realize I need something from it, but we're pretty much done with it. Let me just move some stuff around here a little bit. So now let me just show you one more thing about how you can set it up so that it's well, more easy to launch. You probably won't want to like every time go to this directory and launch that script from there. So I put it in this op directory, and in the op directory I also have this bin directory where I usually symlink the main binaries of the programs that I install in opt, right? So for example, I have, let me show you one of them, like WaterFox is the web browser that I use for the most part, and it's symlinked to WaterFox. So And there's of course the WaterFox directory where the browser itself is installed. I have a video about it, by the way. I'll leave a link in the description in case you want to know how to install WaterFox, Firefox, and Thunderbird, the latest version on Linux. But in this case, we have basically FlightGear, and we have next and stable, or stable and next. So basically, and in each of those we have this script run fgfs.sh. So let me just show you what that script has inside. Stable run fgfs.sh. Like, the way that I wrote this, it's unfortunately not gonna work if I just symlink it and rename that script to something else, like FGFS, for example, because well, it will, like the way they wrote it over here, it will get the name of the symlink instead, and then it will try to look for all the stuff in the directory where the symlink is located. So this is it's not gonna work. So you basically will have to run and create another helper script here, and I created two of them. So FGFS, and I created FGFS and FGFS next. So if I open those in the Vim, here's what they have. It's just like one line basically putting showing the path to that script, and then passing all of the arguments along to that script. So this is kind of how you have to do it because of the way they wrote that script, and you can't modify it because it's like, yeah, like all internally generated. It's best to just leave all that stuff alone and just do something like this. So I just put the home directory and then the rest of the path, and yeah, and then pass all of the arguments. And I did the same for I did this thing for both the stable and the next. And now I can just simply, let me see, so gonna be, yeah, that's fine. So I can now just do FGFS -- launcher. So I'm typing over here right now in the prompt in my window manager. I'm using awesome window manager, and I can press super plus R to get that prompt and to launch anything I need. So this is how I can launch the stable, and to launch next I just use the same stuff, but FGFS next, and I can launch FlightGear. So so here we go. Everything's working, looking fine. I haven't even tried it yet, like, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be fine. Like, there's no reason to think it won't work. And like, I'll spend some time with it before I release this video. So if I have released it, then it means that everything's working well. So yeah, basically here we go. This is what I wanted to show you in this video: how to compile FlightGear, the up-to-date version of FlightGear from source. So I will leave links to all of this stuff in the description for reference. And yeah, this is basically what I have to say about this. So I hope you found this helpful, and it helps you out in setting up this software in your system. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video, and I will see you in the next one.